Good evening, friends. I want you to imagine something with me. Every time you take a bite of certain fruits, you aren't just tasting sweetness. You may be weakening the very pillars that keep you standing upright. What if I told you that a handful of so-called healthy fruits could be quietly sabotaging your leg strength and your independence? Today we're going to expose those. Let me tell you something that might shock you, something most people never discuss: the connection between fruit and strength. You've always heard fruit is good, eat more fruit, that it's nature's candy, a free pass to improve health. But what if I told you that for seniors, certain fruits, or rather, certain ways of consuming them, can be quietly undermining your leg strength, and more importantly, once you understand the mechanism, you can flip that dynamic in your favor. Think of your body as a finely balanced machine. In youth, you have buffer systems, metabolic flexibility, efficient repair, resilient microcirculation. But as you age, those buffers thin down. What used to be innocuous becomes significant. So yes, a fruit that gives you a sugar surge, or an acidic punch, or a burst of oxidants in a younger body, it might be buffered away. In a 65 or 75-year-old body, the same fruit could push you past a tipping point. Let's start with sugar surges. Many fruits carry natural sugars, fructose, glucose, which raise blood sugar somewhat. In a healthy person, insulin rises to moderate that, but in older adults, insulin sensitivity often declines. That means that spike is higher, lasts longer, and is more damaging to small blood vessels. Your leg muscles depend on those capillaries to deliver oxygen, nutrients, remove waste. When those vessels are chronically exposed to high sugar, they stiffen, leak, or become less efficient. Over time, parts of your muscle fibers receive less nourishment. That contributes to cramps, loss of tone, slower recovery, even microscopic degeneration. In other words, fruit sugars unchecked can stress microcirculation in legs. Now think about oxidative stress. Fruits, especially when overripe, stored poorly, or processed, can generate oxidized molecules or reactive byproducts. Normally, you have antioxidants to neutralize them, but aging depletes those reserves. When oxidants accumulate locally, especially in tissues under strain like the calf muscles, quadriceps, shins, they damage cell membranes, mitochondrial structures. That impairs energy production. Your leg muscles become leathery, slower to fire, more fatigued. What once was a brisk walk becomes a chore. A climb of stairs becomes daunting. Then there's acid, load, and mineral balance. Some fruits, by virtue of their organic acids, demand your body neutralize them. That requires bicarbonate buffering, which in turn pulls on alkaline minerals, calcium, magnesium, potassium reserves. Over time, that can subtly drain those minerals from tissues, including bone, cartilage, nerves, muscles. In legs, insufficient calcium or magnesium means weaker neuromuscular conduction, less robust contraction. You might feel more stiffness, cramping, or sluggishness. Also, certain fruits contain compounds that can chelate, bind minerals, oxalates, phytates, or other binding agents. If you consume high amounts of these compounds chronically, they may reduce the availability of critical nutrients that your muscles and bones need. Especially when your diet isn't perfect, that reduction tips the scale toward deficiency. Combine that with the earlier vascular stress and oxidative load, and you have a recipe for progressive decline in leg power. But how does this look in daily life? It's subtle at first. You might notice your legs don't bounce back as they used to after a walk. You might skip stairs because your thighs feel sore or weak. You may feel shifting balance. You might chalk it to age catching up. But behind the scenes, the excess sugar, local oxidative stress, microvascular constriction, and mineral leaching are slowly eroding the foundations of your leg strength. You don't see it, but it's happening. This doesn't mean all fruits are evil or that you should never eat them. The important insight is that the effect of fruit is context dependent. Your age, metabolic health, frequency, portion. Accompanying foods all mediate risk or benefit. A small portion of a low glycemic fruit eaten with protein or healthy fat will behave very differently than a large bowl of a high glycemic fruit on an empty stomach. The difference might be negligible in youth, but in later decades it becomes decisive. When I talk to seniors, I often stress The difference isn't made by grand gestures, but by tiny daily decisions. Swap one problem fruit for a safer one. Reduce the portion. Don't let fruit be your entire snack. Pair it. Test how your legs feel day by day. If your calves are tighter, your walks shorter, your knees slower, look inward. Could your fruit habit be playing a role? And because you now know the mechanism, sugar stress, oxidative damage, mineral drain, you can become your own detective, watching subtle signals in your own legs and adjusting. So right now, as you listen, I want you to take a mental inventory. Which fruits do you eat daily in abundance first thing in morning or empty stomach? Which ones spike you? Which ones leave you feeling a bit shaky or off later? Because once you map that, you can begin the process of elimination or modification. Replace, and not entirely remove, replace some of those high sugar, high acid, high oxidation ones with gentler, muscle-friendly fruits. Monitor your leg function weekly. Walk distance, stair speed, sense of fatigue. Be intentional. Use your knowledge. And gradually, you'll shift from being undermined by fruit to being empowered by healthier choice. Ease silent culprits, and more importantly, replace them with choices that heal, not harm. Let me walk you through those 7 fruits I cautioned about. Not because fruit is bad, but because, in the specific metabolic environment of many seniors, these fruits can create subtle stressors that chip away at leg strength over time. I'm going to talk about them in a way you can sense in your own body, little warning flags to watch for, so you can make informed choices, not feel punished. First fruit on this list is very ripe bananas. When the starches have converted almost entirely to sugar, you know that soft, mushy texture. That's your cue that the glycemic load is sky high. In younger bodies, insulin handles that surge. But for older adults with decreasing insulin sensitivity, that high sugar flood stresses microvessels in muscles, especially in legs. The result, repeated exposure, means those vessels begin to lose integrity, deliver nutrients less efficiently, and gradually starve muscle cells. Over time, your thighs, calves, hamstrings all lose subtle reserves. Second is certain dried fruits, raisins, dried apricots, dried figs, and the like, especially if no portion control is observed. Drying concentrates sugar and loses water, so per bite you get a sugar bomb. That's compounded when seniors mistakenly treat dried fruit like a health snack and eat handfuls. The sugar surge is immediate and potent. Also, dried fruits oxidize faster when stored, creating free radicals that locally damage muscle and connective tissue. That's a double insult: vessel stress plus oxidative wear, in the very zone you depend on to walk, climb, steady yourself. Third, fruit juices or smoothies where fiber is removed or overly blended. Think fresh juice blends or overly processed fruit drinks, apple juice, grape juice, or fruit smoothies with no pulp. Without the fiber, sugar is absorbed extremely quickly. It replicates a sugar injection in your bloodstream. Those spikes carry long tails, stressing circulation, spiking insulin, increasing oxidative load. And because your legs are farther from your core, they're more vulnerable to microvascular stress. Over time, the cumulative damage contributes to muscle fatigue, less force generation, slower recovery. The fourth is high oxalate fruits when consumed repeatedly. For example, high intake of rhubarb, though less common as fruit. In some diets, star fruit, or some types of berries that tend to carry higher oxalate loads. These bind to minerals like calcium and magnesium in your gut or bloodstream, decreasing their availability for bone and muscle use. When muscle conduction depends on those minerals, any hindrance is a negative. The leg muscles are power users. They demand optimal mineral support. Any chronic interference in mineral balance will degrade performance. Fifth, overly acidic tropical fruits eaten on an empty stomach. Think pineapple, certain varieties of guava or unripe mango, or perhaps even overly acidic citrus when they're extra sour. The acidity prompts your body to buffer, drawing from alkaline reserves. In younger individuals, that's manageable. In older bodies, every little buffer gesture erodes reserve. If your body does that day after day, it's silently pulling from muscle repair operations, bone mineral stores, or subtle ion balances in your legs. Over time, that leads to stiffness, cramping, and damage repair lag. Sixth is fruits with high glycemic index that are consumed frequently. Think watermelon, very ripe dates, or overly sweet cherries. It's not that they are always bad. Once in a while, balanced with protein or fat, they can be okay. But when eaten often, they chronically expose your muscle tissue and microcirculation to sugar surges, oxidative stress, and metabolic inflammation. The leg muscles are large, active, and very dependent on consistent, gentle supply chains. Repeated glycemic stress interrupts that harmony. That leads to fatigue, loss of subtle strength, slower walking, less stability. Seventh, large portions of mixed fruit salads combining these risky fruits. For instance, a bowl full of banana slices, grapes, mango chunks, some apple, maybe dried bits, dressed with syrup or juice. What many don't realize is that the combination magnifies stress. Sugar from one, acid from another, oxidants from another, mineral chelators from yet another, layered compounding. In effect, your body has to fight multiple battles at once. That kind of overload is especially harmful to muscle groups already vulnerable, like those in your legs, which have to sustain your movement every day. As I describe these, I want you to reflect. Which of these do you eat regularly? Do you reach for dried fruit as a snack? Do you drink fruit juices believing they're healthy? Do you eat big fruit salads at once? Do you start the day with a super ripe banana on an empty stomach? These are exactly the habits that over years accumulate where beneath your awareness. Now, what makes these 7 particularly dangerous in older bodies is not just their individual effects, sugar load, oxidants, acidity, mineral binding, but how all those stresses converge in tissues that matter most, the legs. When microcirculation is compromised, muscle repair slows. When oxidative stress builds, mitochondrial efficiency falls. When minerals are leached or bound, contraction strength diminishes. Over time, the legs carry less reserve, demand more rest, and respond less vigorously. You don't wake up one day and your leg strength disappears. It's a slow erosion. Yet when you begin to remove or moderate these 7 fruits from your regular diet, you start to pull back the tide of stress. You allow your microvessels to heal, your muscles to recover better, your minerals to be used optimally, your antioxidant defense to catch up. The difference becomes visible: steadier steps, less fatigue, easier climbs. So, as you listen, I want you to begin a gentle internal audit, not harsh, but curious. Which of those 7 fruits have been your silent staples? Which do you eat out of habit, out of awareness, out of routine? Begin today to reduce one. Try a lower sugar, lower acid substitute. Watch how your legs respond over a week. Monitor walking, balance, soreness, strength. Because once you see the patterns, I want to walk you deeper into how exactly those 7 fruits or certain habits around them can damage, undermine, or erode your muscles, joints, nerves, and bones, especially in your legs. Because once you understand the why, you stop guessing and start protecting. Think about the leg. It's not just muscle. It's a complex orchestra of tiny blood vessels, microvasculature, muscle fibers, mitochondria, your energy factories, connective tissue, nerves, and bones, all interdependent. When stress creeps in from above from your diet, it tends to hit the weakest links first. In older bodies, those weak links often lie in circulation, repair capacity, and nutrient balance. The fruits I warned about carry specific stressors: sugar surges, oxidative radicals, acidity, and mineral interference. Together, these create a chain reaction. Let's start with the blood supply. Every muscle fiber in your leg relies on capillaries to bring in oxygen, glucose, amino acids, nutrients, and to remove waste. When you frequently consume a fruit that spikes your blood sugar sharply, Those microvessels are exposed to repeated stress. High glucose levels cause endothelial irritation, mild inflammation. Occasional microinjury, over time they stiffen or lose responsiveness. That means less efficient flow, especially under load walking, climbing stairs. Muscle cells get less fuel and less oxygen when they need it. That's one strike. Then comes oxidative stress. Many fruits, especially if overripe or stored poorly, generate reactive byproducts, free radicals, when the fruit cells degrade. Normally, your body's antioxidants neutralize them. But as you age, your antioxidant reserves lag behind formation. In the environment of your legs, which see mechanical strain, occasional microtrauma, and repeated micro-stress from walking, those oxidants cause damage in muscle cell membranes, mitochondrial DNA, and connective tissue scaffolding. That weakens the machinery that converts fuel to motion. You lose endurance, strength, efficiency. Next, mineral balance and buffering. Some fruits are acidic. Some carry compounds that bind minerals, oxalates, phytates, etc. Your body maintains pH and electrical balance by pulling or using minerals like calcium, magnesium, potassium. Over time, repeated demand for buffering or repeated binding of minerals reduces their free pool. Your muscles and nerves need those minerals to conduct signals, contract, relax. In legs which do heavy work daily, even a small inefficiency becomes noticeable: cramping, slower contraction, fatigue. Beyond that, there is a repair cost. Every time you walk, shift, or resist imbalance, micro damage happens: microscopic tears, oxidative wear. You rely on amino acids, growth factors, local circulation to repair. But if circulation is compromised, nutrients limited, oxidative burden high, and minerals suboptimal, repair slows. Over weeks and months, microdamage accumulates. The muscle fibers don't fully bounce back. They gradually lose size, strength, resilience. And don't forget neuromuscular coordination. Your legs are controlled by nerves sending electrical impulses. Those impulses require stable ion gradients, which depend on minerals, and healthy local environment, no oxidative or metabolic toxins to transmit clean signals. If those signals are compromised even slightly, your muscles respond slower, less fully. Your gait changes. You compensate. Some muscle groups take more load. Some are underused. Imbalance compounds. Also, bones and connective tissues matter. Joints, tendons, bone attachments depend on mineral strength and balanced metabolism. If your diet is binding minerals or subtly draining buffers, your connective tissues and bones erode in resilience. The leg's structure becomes less solid. Under load, joints might feel more grind, sensation of weakness, tendency to fatigue. Again, your movement becomes more tentative. Your neural control might restrict force output to protect fragile joints. The overall result, progressive decline. You may think, this is a lot of theory, but where's the real-world evidence? I'll say this: listen to your body. The first signs are subtle. Your legs don't rebound from a walk as they used to. You hesitate on steps. You feel stiffness or heaviness in calves. You sense imbalance. You notice you avoid slopes or uneven ground more than before. Those are your body's alarm signals. They mean the microcirculation in your legs, your muscle repair processes, your mineral economy, and your neuromuscular signals are under more stress than they can comfortably handle. When you combine frequent exposures to those 7 risky fruit habits like ripe bananas, dried fruit heaps, juice with no fiber, high-acid tropicals on empty stomachs, etc., you layer these stresses one on another. It's not a single insult, it's cumulative. Over months and years, those cumulative microinjuries, mild vascular damage, repair deficits, and mineral drift lead to clinically noticeable decline, weaker calf push, slower standing from chair, shorter walking distance, more fatigue, more risk of falls. Now think about intervention. When you reduce or eliminate one of those stressors, say, Stop drinking fruit juices on empty stomach or pare down dried fruit portions. Your system gets breathing room, the microvessels get recovery time, oxidant load falls, mineral balance stabilizes, repair processes catch up, neuromuscular signals sharpen, you start incrementally regaining reserve, you feel stronger, steadier. You walk farther, you feel more confident. So as you hear this, I want you to begin watching the subtle signs. How do your legs feel after your usual fruit consumption? Do you feel extra fatigue? Do you notice stiffness the next day? Do you see a pattern after a fruit salad or a fruit smoothie? Use those patterns as feedback. They make mistakes. Your silence turns their aggression into weakness. Watch the effect. Over time, as you reduce these cumulative burdens, you restore health not by heroic acts, but by consistent, intelligent choices in what you eat, when, how much, and with what pairing. Regain control. Now let's talk about the part that most people ignore: what to eat instead, and how to eat smarter. Because the truth is, you don't have to give up fruit. You just have to understand how to make it work for your body instead of against it. There's this beautiful thing about the human body: it's forgiving. When you give it the right environment, it heals, recalibrates, and starts performing the way it's meant to. So if you've been eating the wrong fruits or eating them the wrong way, don't panic. You can reverse a lot of that damage by shifting your approach, little by little, starting today. Let's begin with a mindset shift. The goal isn't to fear fruit, the goal is to respect it. Think of fruit as a supplement to your meal, not the main course. Fruit should add color, antioxidants, and micronutrients, not flood your bloodstream with sugar. Seniors often fall into the habit of eating fruit alone, especially first thing in the morning. They think, I'll have something light, natural, easy to digest. But when you eat fruit by itself on an empty stomach, there's nothing else in your system to slow down sugar absorption. Your blood sugar spikes, insulin floods your bloodstream, and within an hour or two, you crash. That roller coaster is one of the biggest reasons you feel tired, shaky, or weak in your legs later in the day. So here's a smarter approach. Pair your fruit. Combine it with a protein or healthy fat. A handful of berries with Greek yogurt, an apple with a tablespoon of peanut butter, or orange slices alongside a few almonds. Why? Because protein and fat slow digestion. They temper the sugar surge and give your body a steady release of energy instead of a sharp peak followed by a crash. The difference you'll feel in your energy levels, especially in your leg strength and stamina, can be remarkable in just a few days. Now, let's talk about choosing better fruits. There's a hierarchy here, and you can think of it in 3 tiers. On the top tier are the fruits that are low in sugar, high in fiber, and packed with antioxidants. These are your allies. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, apples with skin, pears, citrus like grapefruit or oranges in moderation. These fruits help fight oxidative stress, improve capillary strength, and support muscle recovery. They give your legs what they need: micronutrients that protect blood vessels, mitochondria, and connective tissue. In the middle tier, you have fruits that are fine occasionally or in small portions, things like pineapple, mango, grapes, papaya. They're rich in nutrients but higher in sugar, so you need to control the portion, maybe a few bites, not a whole bowl. The key here is moderation. You can enjoy them once or twice a week, especially if you pair them with a balanced meal. The timing matters too. Eating fruit after a meal instead of before can make a huge difference because the rest of your meal helps buffer the sugar impact. That's a small tweak that can yield a big improvement in blood sugar control and muscle recovery. And then there's the bottom tier, the ones to minimize. These are the dried fruits, fruit juices, and overly ripe fruits that act almost like pure sugar. Yes, they're natural, but natural doesn't mean harmless. Dried fruits can have up to 8 times the sugar of fresh fruit by volume, and juices remove the fiber completely. So even though you're drinking fresh orange juice, your body treats it almost the same as soda. The fix is simple: eat the whole fruit. When you chew it, your body absorbs the sugars more slowly, and the fiber supports gut health and steady energy. Here's another trick: temperature and timing. If you want to protect muscle and vascular health, avoid eating cold fruit straight from the fridge. That sudden chill can constrict small blood vessels temporarily, and while that's minor for most people, older adults with fragile circulation can feel a dip in blood flow. Let fruit come to room temperature before eating, and eat it during the day, not late at night. Your insulin sensitivity is higher in the morning and early afternoon, so your body handles the sugar more efficiently. Now, let's zoom out for a second. The way you eat fruit fits into a bigger picture of muscle preservation. You can't build or maintain strong legs just by adjusting fruit intake. You also need enough protein, hydration, and resistance activity. But fruit plays a surprisingly powerful supporting role. When chosen and timed right, it enhances recovery, reduces inflammation, and supports collagen repair. When chosen wrong, it fuels the opposite: inflammation, sugar stress, mineral depletion. That's why I tell seniors, eat smarter, not stricter. Don't eliminate the joy of food. You just need strategy. Have half a banana instead of a full one. Pair it with a boiled egg. Replace dried fruit snacks with fresh berries. Trade orange juice for slices of real orange. Make those swaps and your body begins to thank you. Within weeks, many people notice less heaviness in their legs, improved walking stamina, better balance, and even fewer night cramps. It's not magic, it's physiology responding to balance. Your body is constantly communicating with you through energy, strength, pain, and recovery. Every meal you eat is either feeding strength or feeding weakness. Fruit can do either, depending on how you use it. You are not too old to turn this around. Your body still adapts beautifully when you feed it right. The way you eat fruit might seem small, but for your legs, for your independence, your movement, your vitality, it can make all the difference. You shift from being a victim of these fruit stresses to being the architect of your strength. Let's talk about something powerful, something that goes beyond food, beyond lists of what to eat or avoid. Let's talk about taking control back, because at the end of the day, that's what this is really about. It's about you reclaiming your stability, your strength, your independence. It's about looking at your body not as something that's declining with age, but as something that's responding intelligently, predictably to the choices you make every day. And when it comes to your legs, the foundation of your mobility, every single decision counts. When you've spent decades believing that fruit is the ultimate symbol of health, it's easy to miss the signs when it starts working against you. You might think, it's natural, it's from the earth, how could it possibly harm me? But the truth is, what's healthy at one stage of life may not be ideal at another. The metabolism that once processed sugar effortlessly now struggles a bit. The blood vessels that used to expand and contract easily may have lost elasticity. The muscles that once rebuilt overnight now take longer to repair. That's not failure, that's biology. And understanding that biology gives you power, because once you know what's happening, you can adjust, adapt, and start moving the needle in your favor. Reclaiming leg strength starts with awareness. Every step you take, every time you get out of a chair, your legs are quietly working harder than they used to. That fatigue you feel, it's not just old age. Often, it's a combination of poor microcirculation, low-grade inflammation, and nutrient imbalance, all things you can influence. When you start removing the foods that damage and replacing them with those that nourish, your body responds. Within weeks, some people report feeling more grounded, more confident in their stride, less shaky on their feet. That's not coincidence. That's your nervous system, muscles, and blood flow synchronizing again. The real challenge isn't just changing your diet, it's changing your habits. Because habits are emotional, Many seniors reach for fruit out of comfort, not just hunger. Maybe it reminds them of childhood or feels like a safe, sweet treat. But here's the truth. You can keep that comfort and still protect your strength. You just need to build a new pattern. Try this instead of snacking on fruit between meals. Have it with a meal. Instead of reaching for that big bowl of grapes at night, save a few and pair them with some cheese or a handful of nuts earlier in the day. These small adjustments stabilize your blood sugar, reduce vascular stress, and help your muscles get the steady flow of energy they need. Now I want you to visualize something, not in a vague motivational way, but in a physiological way. Imagine the microvessels in your legs like tiny flexible tubes, opening just a bit wider as blood flow improves. Imagine oxygen reaching deeper into your muscle fibers, fueling energy production, repairing microtears. Imagine your muscles waking up, regaining tone, and responding faster. That's not fantasy. That's exactly what happens when you lower inflammation, improve nutrient balance, and give your legs the environment to heal. Your body has been waiting for that signal, for you to remove the daily damage and let it repair. And this is where momentum kicks in. Once you start feeling the difference, walking with less stiffness, climbing stairs without as much hesitation, that progress becomes addictive. You start realizing that you're not powerless, you're in control. The same way you trained your legs through a lifetime of use, you can retrain them now through smarter fuel and consistent care. Leg strength is not lost overnight, and it doesn't come back overnight, but it does come back bit by bit. Step by step. Here's what I tell my patients all the time. Your body is not broken. It's simply waiting for you to cooperate with it. If you feed it wisely, move it intentionally, rest it properly, it pays you back tenfold. The stiffness, the heaviness, the instability you feel, those are messages, not punishments. They're your body's way of saying, I need different inputs. The beauty is, you can start giving those inputs right now. And don't underestimate the emotional side of this transformation. When you feel your legs getting stronger, your posture changes, your confidence rises, your entire presence shifts. You carry yourself differently, not just physically, but mentally. You start believing again that your best years can still be strong years. That belief isn't just mental, it triggers real biological changes. Confidence affects stress hormones affect muscle recovery, and muscle recovery affects how you move. Everything's connected, so take this as an invitation not to cut out joy or pleasure, but to make smarter, more conscious decisions about what you put in your body. You've already done the hard part by being curious, by asking questions, by listening. Now, it's time to apply it. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. One meal at a time, one adjustment at a time, one stronger step at a time. So here's the bottom line. Eating fruit is not inherently bad, but for seniors it demands wisdom. One careless fruit habit can undermine your leg strength and in turn your independence. Today I ask you, will you let sweetness weaken your steps, or will you make fruit your ally in strength? Choose wisely. Swap smartly, strengthen every day. I want you walking tall, stable, pain-free for years to come. Start today, pick one fruit to eliminate, replace it with a better option, and notice the difference. I promise your legs and your future self will thank you. If this message resonates, hit like, subscribe, and join me next time as we break down one of those 7 fruits, one by one with science. Stories and practical recipes. To your strength, your balance, your longevity. See you in the next video.